Within the annals of human history, the practice of execution has been a grim testament to societal norms, justice, and power. Today, we delve deeper into this dark but significant aspect of history, exploring a wide range of execution methods and their evolution over the centuries. Earliest forms of execution in antiquity. Our exploration into the earliest forms of execution in antiquity takes us back to the very beginnings of human civilization. In ancient societies such as Sumer and Babylon, the act of stoning was prevalent and served as a common method of execution. This barbaric practice can be traced back to the 18th century BC, highlighting the brutal nature of punishment during that time. Moving to the magnificent land of Egypt, we find a different set of methods employed for execution. Here, drowning and live burial were considered suitable punishments, often reserved for those who committed crimes against the state or engaged in religious transgressions. These methods of execution can be traced back to the times of the pharaohs, showcasing a dark side to the ancient Egyptian justice system. As we delve further into the annals of history, we come across the ancient Greek city-states, each with its own unique approach to execution. The Greeks, known for their intellectual prowess, had a range of methods at their disposal. While some executions were relatively humane, such as the use of hemlock poisoning, which dates back to the 4th century BC and was infamously utilized in the execution of Socrates, others were far more brutal in nature. One such brutal method involved throwing condemned individuals off cliffs, resulting in a violent and terrifying end to their lives. These diverse forms of execution utilized by the ancient Greeks reflect the complexity of their societies and the varying degrees of punishment they deemed appropriate for different crimes. As we reflect upon these early forms of execution, we are reminded of the harsh realities faced by individuals living in antiquity. The cruelty and severity of these methods serve as a stark contrast to the values and principles we hold dear in modern times. It is through understanding our history that we can gain a deeper appreciation for the progress made in our justice systems and aspire to create a more humane and just society for all. The Roman Empire's diverse and public executions. The Roman Empire had a wide range of methods for capital punishment, and they were not afraid to show them publicly. One of the most well-known forms of execution was crucifixion, which gained infamy through Jesus Christ, but was actually quite common for slaves and rebels. This brutal practice was carried out for a long period of time, spanning from the 6th century BC to the 4th century AD. In addition to crucifixion, the arenas of Rome played a significant role in executing criminals. The famous Colosseum stood as a grand stage for a punishment known as damnatio ad bestias, where condemned individuals faced their demise by being thrown to wild beasts or forced to engage in gladiatorial combat. This particular method of execution reached its peak during the 1st to 3rd centuries AD, captivating the attention of the Roman citizens and leaving a lasting impact on the collective memory of that era. Medieval Europe's harsh and symbolic methods. During the medieval period in Europe, there existed a multitude of harsh execution methods that carried deep symbolic meanings. One such method was the utilization of the breaking wheel, which had been employed extensively since the Middle Ages. This grisly practice served as a powerful symbol of divine justice, emphasizing the belief that those who transgressed against the laws of God would face a punishment befitting their sins. Another method that held great symbolic significance was burning, specifically practiced on heretics and witches. This method aimed to cleanse the soul through the purifying power of fire, with its usage spanning from the 9th century to the 17th century. The act of burning these individuals was not only a means of physically. During the medieval period in Europe, execution methods were often chosen for their symbolic significance. The breaking wheel, for example, was used extensively and was considered to be a symbol of divine justice. Similarly, burning at the stake was a common practice for heretics and witches, as it was believed to purify the soul through fire. This method was prevalent from the 9th to the 17th centuries. Beheadings, on the other hand, were often seen as less brutal and were reserved for nobility as a sign of their status even in death. Additionally, drowning was a method that was particularly associated with women accused of witchcraft during this era. The Renaissance: artistic flourish and execution methods. The Renaissance, a magnificent epoch characterized by remarkable cultural and artistic accomplishments, was also a time when execution methods continued to evolve and improve. One such method was the garrote, which gained popularity in Spain during the 15th century and represented a transition towards more discreet approaches. On the other hand, England's approach to treason was quite theatrical, employing the practice of drawing and quartering that commenced in the 13th century. This brutal display of the state's authority over life and death served as a stark contrast to the subtlety of the garrote. The Enlightenment and humanitarian reforms. During the period known as the Age of Enlightenment, a profound transformation in the perception of capital punishment took place. The philosophical thinkers of this time, such as Cesare Beccaria in Italy, passionately made their case against the inherent cruelty associated with this form of punishment. Their arguments resonated deeply and would go on to have a lasting impact on future debates surrounding the topic. As a result, society began to gradually shift towards adopting more compassionate and humane methods of carrying out capital punishment. This momentous change began to unfold in the late 18th century, forever altering the way justice was administered. The Industrial Era and the evolution of execution technology. The Industrial Era, also known as the Industrial Revolution, was a time of great technological advancements that had a significant impact on various aspects of society. One area where these advancements were particularly evident was in the field of execution methods. During this period, the guillotine emerged as a new and revolutionary method of execution. This device, which was first introduced during the French Revolution in the late 18th century, was initially perceived as a swift and impartial way to carry out the death penalty. Its efficiency and ability to quickly end a person's life made it an attractive option for many jurisdictions. However, as time went on, society began to question the humanity and morality of such brutal executions. This led to the development of a new method known as the electric chair. Invented in the United States in the late 19th century, the electric chair was introduced as a more humane alternative to the guillotine. While the electric chair was touted as a more compassionate method of execution, it also raised its own set of ethical dilemmas. The idea of killing someone by means of electricity seemed less barbaric than severing their head, but it still ignited debates about the true nature of a humane execution. Lesser known and regional execution methods. Beyond the well-known methods of execution that most people are familiar with, there exist a plethora of lesser-known and regional practices throughout history. These methods, often tied to specific cultures and time periods, shed light on the diverse and sometimes disturbing ways in which societies have dealt with the act of taking a life. In certain parts of Asia, particularly China, a method known as death by 1,000 cuts was employed as far back. Beyond the well-known methods of execution, history is filled with a multitude of lesser-known and regional practices that were used in different parts of the world. For instance, in various parts of Asia, methods like death by 1,000 cuts were practiced, particularly in China, with historical records dating back to the 10th century. In the Ottoman Empire, impalement was a feared method of execution, and it was used as early as the 15th century. Additionally, in various tribal societies, execution methods were often deeply intertwined with local beliefs and customs. For example, some Pacific islands had practices such as throwing individuals off cliffs or into volcanoes as forms of execution, traditions that have been documented for centuries. The Aztecs, known for their ritualistic practices, often used sacrifice as a form of execution, a tradition that predates the Spanish conquest. These lesser-known and regional execution methods provide a glimpse into the diverse historical practices that were employed across different cultures and regions. Conclusion. Our comprehensive and enlightening journey into the rich and intricate tapestry of history brings us to the fascinating topic of execution methods. By delving deep into the annals of time, we gain invaluable insights into the ways in which societies across the globe have grappled with the complex notions of justice and punishment. From the dawn of civilization itself, through the various epochs that have shaped humanity's progress, all the way up to the precipice of the modern era, the evolution of these methods serves as a testament to the ever-shifting ethos of societies, their laws, and their moral compass. With each passing era, we witness the ebb and flow of different approaches to capital punishment, offering a captivating glimpse into the moral fabric that has guided human societies throughout the ages.